My name is Michaela Hawkins, better known as Mac. I'm a proud woman. I'm a proud Welsh woman. And I'm a proud working class woman. What I'm not proud of is the fact that this government and governments before them have robbed me and 3.8 million women of their pensions. I was born in the 1950s and times were tough. It was tough for everyone. Rationing was still in play and the country had not fully recovered from the war. But in my opinion, the women of that generation had it toughest of all. Women, our mothers or grandmothers, had played an instrumental role in the war. Women had been a key source of labour when the men were fighting in the battlefields. But after the war, women found themselves pushed back to the kitchen into the stereotypical role of wife, homemaker, mother, and were expected to be content within those four walls again. The war didn't just deliver freedom for our country, it gave the women of this country their freedom in a way too. Women knew they were capable of more. Women wanted more. Women needed more. In the 1950s, despite societal expectations of women returning happily to the kitchen, approximately 40% of women with young children and at least half of women with older children chose to remain in the workforce. Women might have had the vote on the same terms as men since 1929, but for most, that was pretty well the limit of their equality. The world of work for 1950s born women was tough. Low wages, inequality, sexual harassment. These things were commonplace. Despite the responsibilities and sheer hard graft many had endured in wartime, women were still regarded as submissive and inferior beings. Women had to work twice as hard to be thought of half as good. Luckily, this was not hard to do, and by God we did it. We battled and we fought right the way through. Here I am, 64 years old in the 21st century. I'm still working as a carer in a day centre for people who have learning difficulties. And I'm wondering, have things got better? Let's think. 86% of the burden of austerity falls on women. Only 14% of the total burden of welfare cuts fall on men. Austerity has cost women £79 billion since 2010. For men, a cost of £13 billion. 84% of women employed in the care sector. I'm one of them, and are the biggest group of workers likely to be exploited by low pay and poor working practices. Women are the largest group of unpaid workers, majority between the age of 50 and 64, saving government £77 billion a year. Women are seeing the highest increase in suicide rates. A homeless woman is likely to die 5 years younger than an homeless man. But this government and previous governments think we haven't suffered enough. What women have given to this country and sacrificed isn't enough. The establishment wants more. And now they've taken our state pension from us. The UK already has the lowest state pension rate and the highest age of retirement. So why us and why now? Is it because women are living longer? Let's think of that. We're all so fit and healthy that we can work for longer? Or we are all much wealthier and don't need the money? Or is it because there is £271 billion missing from the National Insurance Fund and the government is looking for an easy way out of not filling it? Now, I'll let you decide. In the 2011 Pensions Act, the new qualifying age of 65 for women was brought forward to 2018, a move that's seen 3.8 million 1950s women lose out. The Act also accelerated the state pension rises, adding a further year to all women's state pension age from 65 to 66. As a direct result, several campaign groups have been established and stand defiantly against the inequality and unfair treatment of women born in the 1950s who are experiencing changes to their state pension age. Governments in France, Russia, Poland tried to increase the pension age for women, but citizens took to the streets in protest and won. The change was scrapped. Make no mistake, we will win too, but we need your help. The biggest of the campaign groups, with approximately 738,000 supporters, is the Back to 60 campaign. The Back to 60 campaign group argues that the changes were implemented unfairly with little or no personal notice. It has left 1950s women with no time to make alternative plans and has had devastating consequences for so many. It will hit working class women hardest of all. The objective of the Back to 60 campaign group is to secure the full restitution of state pension for all 50s women. No ifs, no buts, full restitution. A judicial review was held the first week in June, led by a world-class legal team headed by Michael Mansfield QC. We are looking forward to a positive outcome. The Back to 60 campaign group is the largest of its kind. We are not WASPI. WASPI Limited, which also represents some of the women, believe the women should only get a bridging loan, which will have to be paid back by having a reduced pension for life. We have a fundamentally different objective to them, and that is simply that we will accept nothing less than full restitution of state pension for 1950s women. A number of prominent people across a range of professional spectrums recognise the importance of the change we are seeking, and I quote Professor Philip Alston, United Nations Special Rapporteur, stated that an abrupt and poorly implemented change in state pension age for women from 60 to 66 has severely and inconsequentially penalised those who were on the cusp of retirement and who had well-founded expectations of entering the next phase of their lives. The United Nations Committee, CEDAW, led by Professor Jackie Jones MEP, said that the rise in state pension age has led to poverty, homelessness and financial hardship. It's beyond time for women to have equal rights and equal financial entitlements for years of service. Equal pension is part of this. No way are women going to settle for anything less. Unison, the country's biggest trade union, has given our campaign its full backing. Gloria Mills, CBE, National Secretary, Unison Equalities, said, 1950s women deserve their full state pension now, and the government should act by using the temporary special measure contained to right this wrong. Unison, the UK's largest trade union with 1 million women members, will continue to fight for pension justice for the 3.8 million women born in the 1950s, many of whom are Unison members. The recent idea that people may have to work to 75 is a disgrace to all working people. All these women have been discriminated against all their life by not being able to claim a pension while they are working part-time or bringing up a family. Their pension pots are minuscule compared to many men. Michael Mansfield, QC, stated, the impact of the discriminatory rise of state pension age by 6 years has had and is having an adverse effect on a specific group of women. This government has created a subclass of women through their legislation, and don't we know it? Labour, and even Boris Johnson, yes, there's one person still left in the Tory party, has admitted that 50s women has had an injustice done to them. By admitting this, the only remedy is full restitution for all these women. It is fair, it is justifiable, it is affordable, and it is our money. David Henke, one of the world's top investigative journalists, discovered that 271 billion had been raided from the National Insurance Fund. So when the DWP published figures of what it would cost to pay us back our hard-earned dues, what they're actually saying is, this is the amount they, the DWP, have stolen from 50s women. Full restitution of our state pension will never regain the lost ground due to the cumulative impact of the robbery, but it will go some way in stopping the crime from continuing. A group of leading Back to 60 campaigners and top people from Unison delivered a personal letter to Boris Johnson calling on him to act and to pay out the money owed to 3.8 million women whose pensions have been delayed by up to 6 years. The delegation went direct to Downing Street to press Boris Johnson to fulfil a pledge that he would look again at the problem for this particular group of women, many of whom have been driven to poverty by the decision enacted by successive governments. Our request was backed by a petition signed by over 190 MPs of all parties, calling for a temporary special measure to grant the money owed. This can be done without reversing the existing pension legislation. Earlier petitions, one of which reached 728,000 people, delivered to former Prime Minister Theresa May on 3 separate occasions, was ignored. And this led Back to 60 to succeed in getting a judicial review, held on the 5th and 6th of June in the Royal Courts of Justice. The reserved judgment is due soon. As a campaign, we have identified a number of Tory-held seats across the country with less than a 6,000 majority. In these seats, there are between 3,000 to 6,000 1950s women. Support these women, and these women will support you. Ignore them at your peril. I'm a proud Welsh working class woman, but I'm also a proud Labour Party member. I'm a proud Unison member, and I'm a proud Back to 60 supporter. And I am asking for 1950s women's state pension to be reinstated back to 60. I know the Labour Party can make it happen if you want to. Support justice for 1950s women. Support the fight for equality. Support the women of this country. And we will support you to win the next general election.